consecutive day, 1,418 diary of a runpreneur. And if you've been in my mission of saving lives of children, attempting the ultimate ultramarathon, run vlogging on consecutive days, the distance of a lap of the world, do give us a subscribe, share, like, comment. Any engagement reaches more people, raises more money, and ultimately saves more children's lives, which is every reason I put myself through this every single day. Thank you as always for your support. Let's get started. So, consecutive day 1,418 for diary for Runpreneur. And today's topic is understanding your mind, which is one section of 5 that kind of covers our kind of mental health section. The first segment here, if you think of it as a pie, it's broken down into 5 segments. Each segment is crucial to the section as a whole. And as part of the stacking stool system for success, we're going to be doing a questionnaire whereby we have the ability for you to identify your strengths and weaknesses are within each stool, what you need to work on to re-stabilise the foundations and give you a platform to grow. Anyway, back onto the topic at hand. Understanding your mind. In this section, I'm going to refer a lot to one of my favourite books of all time, which is The Chimp by Dr. Mark Peters. And this is an amazing book. It's just a really simplistic way of understanding your brain or your mind and how it works and how you can get control of your mind. Because I think mental health as a whole is kind of divided into kind of 2 sections really. You've got kind of clinical mental health related issues, which are kind of diagnosed and you need kind of outside medication or whatever it may be in order to manage those conditions. And there's also a large proportion of mental health which is arguably or controversially can be controlled or certainly improved if you understand the way your mind works better, which is why this section is really important. So Dr. Peters kind of called this book the Chimp's Paradox because it creates a kind of paradox world between your human brain and your chimp's brain. And then the back end of your mind, there's what we call your computer. So how these 3 things work between themselves. Now, just to put it into context here, the brain and mind is a far more complex piece than this. But these kind of analogies and descriptions will help you get a better kind of simple layman understanding of how your brain works. So your brain is split into 3 sections ultimately. The Chimp's section, which is your emotional section, it's your kind of primitive part of your brain, which is built around the concept of fight, fright, and flee, which is your survival brain. It's what a chimpanzee in jungle would be relying upon to keep them safe. Okay, so it's highly emotional, highly impulsive, highly passionate, very up and down, very, very volatile. You then have your human mind, which is how we've evolved as humans from chimpanzees, in that the way it's very much a rational mind. It's fact and evidence based. It will try and take a logical view on things to draw a conclusion on a situation. So incredibly powerful part of your brain, the human brain. And the third part is your computer, which is all of the experiences, the memories, the kind of you that are all stored in the kind of memory bank of your brain. You draw upon them when you're doing things in autopilot. So it's just kind of the memory, the experiences of your mind. You draw upon them in certain situations. For example, if you've experienced something before, you will draw upon that experience when you face similar occurrences in the future. That can have an impact on your human and chimp brain. All of them kind of kick in. So it gives kind of some perspective around situations based on previous experience. So hopefully this kind of explained how, in very simple terms how the three stages of everything work. Now, the computer section of the brain is kind of automatic. It kind of happens automatically. You don't have to really think too much about it. The challenges come when you've got kind of experiences that are quite negative or that cause you kind of concern or stress, then they need reprogramming, which ultimately needs to be rewritten by how you move forwards and how your kind of chimp's mind and human mind kind of processes things to create new experiences that can kind of override the negative ones, which is why you'll quite often get what they call gremlins or goblins in the Chimp's Paradox books, which are kind of almost like viruses, things that create a negative emotion or create a negative experience for you, probably something that you've had during childhood or has been ingrained in your brain due to a negative experience, because usually the negative ones are more powerful than the positive ones, which can ultimately, it's just the way we're wired as humans. But forget the computer for now. What I really want to focus on is the chimp's brain and the human brain and the relationship between the two. Well, quite often, as I've just described, the primitive chimp's brain is going to be in conflict with the human, rational, fact-based, evidence-based, logical mind that draws upon conclusions in a logical fashion, with the emotional, passionate, excitable, volatile, primitive, survival brain of the chimp. Now, both are of equal importance because it's often the chimp's brain that keeps you safe. The chimp's brain is, unfortunately, 5 times as strong as the human brain and 5 times as quick. So it will normally be the reactive brain that kind of kicks into gear first to any situation. So if you're angry about something or someone's upset you or something's happened that you react to, quite often it's usually the chimp's brain kicking in because it's 5 times as quick and 5 times as strong as your human brain. Now, we can override this. Now, we don't want to in all situations because sometimes the chimp kicking in with euphoria or happiness or excitement or kind of emotional, and you're really enjoying this state of mind, that's probably quite a good thing. We don't want to override that. But if we get angry about something that our human brain wouldn't get angry about, then we want to listen to our human brain over our chimp's brain. And that's not always possible to do. So what the general premise of the book is it's teaching you ways and means to override your chimp's brain. And the biggest question you will need to ask yourself in this regard, just one second, I'm just going to pull a little bit uncomfortable anyway, ignore this. Quite often we have to ask one simple question, and this is a really, really important question. It's, do I like the way that I feel? So my metrics were reading incorrectly. But anyway, cut that bit out, Sam. That's my editor. But yeah, back to the question. The key question is, do I like the way that I feel? If the answer to that question is no, it's highly likely it's your chimp's brain that's kicking in, and you need to kind of disrupt your chimp's brain from doing something irrational or impulsive that you might later regret. And this, if you do this, if you don't kind of disrupt your chimp's brain, you will live a very reactive life, and that can come with a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear, a lot of negative emotions, which is detrimental to your mental health. It's really important you understand this. And it's quite difficult in the heat of the moment to just pause and then ask yourself in your brain, do I like the way that I'm feeling, yes or no? And if the answer is no, try and get your human brain to kind of kick in, which is why you often need to create a kind of trigger word to disrupt your chimp's brain. And this isn't in the book, this is what I've done, by the way. So I tried using the do I like the way I'm feeling question, and it's quite long, it takes a lot of time, and if you're in the heat of battle or an emotionally charged situation, it's a bit weird trying to pause and ask yourself that question and work out the answer in your mind. So what I do is I use a trigger word. So I just say reset. And that basically, I've now trained my mind to kind of kick in, my human mind kicks in when I say reset. And it basically tries to rationalise the situation in a logical, evidence, fact-based manner, so I can come to a sensible conclusion and avoid unnecessary stress, anxiety, and mental health related issues. So by simply saying reset, my human mind is then programmed to kick in, and it just says, for example, somebody's cut me up on the motorway. Okay, could have caused an accident. I could have potentially died. Quite serious. My chimp's mind is like going absolutely crazy. It wants to chase this guy down and let him know that his driving is incredibly dangerous. It could have killed me. But the reality is that we can only control our own minds, and that these three sections of the mind happens within everybody. And there are certain people out there that are very good at controlling their kind of chimp, and there are other people that are absolute loose cannons and can't control them. So when I say reset, before I kind of chase this guy down and give him a piece of my mind, it could then escalate the situation into, we could pull over and have a fight. It could result in, somebody getting injured. It could result in lots of different scenarios that not many of them are going to end positively if I chase this guy down and give him my full kind of emotional assessment of what's just happened. So if I say reset, my human mind kicks in and goes, right, let's just gather the facts and the evidence here. The reality is this guy's a pretty crazy driver. Could have killed me, but you know what, he didn't. I'm here, I'm alive. I need to be more aware that there are a lot more drivers like this out there. But I also need to be aware that because what he did was wrong, if I chase him down and give him a load of abuse, he's probably going to retaliate, which is going to escalate a situation which doesn't need to exist. And when I look at the situation, by me going there and giving him some kind of stern words, the likelihood of a positive outcome coming out of that is very slim. So rationally, regardless of that I completely disagree with his behaviour, he should technically be told. But you know what, I'm going to let that one go, because there's very little upside or positive side to me getting involved with this guy. The facts are, the evidence is, I'm okay, I'm a little bit shaken, but the learning points are that I need to be more aware of drivers that could drive this way in the future, and potentially maybe I could avoid situations like this occurring in the future. But do you know what, I'm going to let this slide because there's very little upside. It's just going to create a whole host of negative emotions that I don't want to be dealing with. And that's a perfect example of how the human mind, by using a simple trigger word, can kick in and can reduce the amount of conflict and stress, anxiety, depression, negative emotions in our life. And if you can understand this and learn it, I strongly recommend you read The Chimp's Paradox by Dr. Steve Peters. If you haven't read it, amazingly powerful book. And since reading that, I can genuinely say that I've probably reduced the amount of conflict in my life by maybe 50 to 60%. I'm still perfecting this. I think eventually I'll get it up to 75%, but 50-60% improvement in avoiding negatively charged emotions is a massive, massive win for me. It puts my mental health and well-being in such a better place. So so the learnings from my diary for today are simply this: understand the simple aspects of your brain, how it works, and understand and try and learn to override certain situations where your emotions are going to get the better of you, which is your chimp's brain. And if you can apply your rational, evidence, fact-based, logical human mind to the situation, that's going to draw upon a perspective and a conclusion which can often provide a better decision being made and reducing the conflict and negativity, thank you, in the situation, then it's only going to be a massive, massive benefit to your mental health and well-being. So, in summary, if you've not read The Chimp's Paradox by Dr. Steve Peters, I strongly recommend you do so. It is certainly in the most impactful books I've ever read, and I've read hundreds, probably thousands of books over the years, so that's quite a bold statement. So anyway, that's it for me today. Questions or comments, drop me a line. I'll respond to everyone. Do please remember though, if you believe in my mission of saving the lives of children by attempting the ultimate ultramarathon of run vlogging consecutive days, the distance of lap of the world, do give us a subscribe, share, like, and comment. The more people we get in front of, the more money we raise, and ultimately the more children's lives we save, which is every reason why I put myself through this every single day. Thank you as always for your support. stay positive, stay happy. I'll see you again tomorrow.